Alright, today we're working on a 2006 GMC Sierra. We're going to replace the tie rod and tie rod end on the driver's side. Remove your lug nuts, of course take your wheel off, jack your truck up, all that kind of stuff. So this is our tie rod back here, and our tie rod end right here on the outside. On the bottom you've got a nut, 3/4 inch nut will fit it.
Mom?
We'll put that on our impact gun.
There's another one.
Run that down. Sometimes you can get lucky and hit the bottom of that shaft with a hammer, and that tie rod will pop out. Right like that.
Daddy.
So we'll pull that out of there. You want to leave all this connected in one piece, because when you put your new one in, you'll have to put the tie rod end onto the tie rod. You want to get it as close as possible as you can to this length here, and you will have to have a front end alignment. The truck will be drivable, or car, or whatever you're working on, it will be drivable, but your wheel, you'll end up wearing either the inside or outside of your front tires down just because the camber will be off. So in order to get this out, back here, there's a pretty good sized nut that will unscrew from the sway bar, but I don't think I have that size, so we're going to use a handy dandy pipe wrench to get that off. So once we get that broke loose, you should be able to grab the end of your tie rod and just unscrew that from your sway bar. And like I said, leave all this together. We're changing these out because these ball joints in the end are they're pretty wore out. They're not completely gone yet, but you can hear a little noise in the front end. So we'll just change them out before they go all the way bad. So when you get your new tie rod and tie rod end, it'll come separated like that. And those just screw together like so. It comes with a little plastic cover on it. Take that castle nut off. Make sure you take that cover off. We'll slide that out. Put your castle nut down. Now side by side, you can tell that one is quite a bit longer than the other. So in order to get these to the same length, overall length, your tie rod end just screws onto your tie rod, and you can of course tighten it up to make it shorter, and if you get too small, you can always back it out to make it a little bit longer. Line your grease fittings up here on the end, on the inside of these ball joints, and then your two nuts are fairly close. Like I said, you will have to have an alignment to get that. They'll put it on a rack and do their thing at the shop. But after you get those the same length, you may notice that the old one has a end that'll fit a wrench or a socket, and that's your new one may not have it, and if it doesn't, then that's not a big deal. They use that from the manufacturer to hold the shaft on the ball joint still when they put that nut on. But we'll be fine without it on this side. After you get them the same length, it comes with a packing nut, and you'll want to take and tighten that up. Tighten it up first by hand, and you'll put 2 wrenches. You'll put one here, and then of course one on that nut to hold your tie rod in still, and tighten them up real good together. I believe that packing nut should be a 7/8. I don't really know what size that outer tie rod is, but a pair of vice grips will hold it just fine. So you'll put that on there and just give them a good give them a good twist. And that keeps that from spinning separate. So we're ready to put it back in. Just screw it into your sway bar there. Once that gets tight, it may be, it may be off from where it needs to be, because obviously that needs to turn down and go back in there. It's not a big deal. It's as simple as twisting this whole thing right here, because inside your tie rod there's another ball joint, so that'll spin around. Like that. And take your monkey wrench again, and you want to see if you can get that part any tighter to the sway bar, just to make sure that nothing, everything's good and tight. Alright, so we got that tightened up. I am not very smart sometimes. This is your sway bar. That is your center link. That connects the two tie rods together on both sides. That way you have steering. Just to clear up any confusion on that. So ready to put that down in there. Push it down. You get your threads all the way through. At the bottom, make sure it's all the way down there. So your tie rod and tie rod end, it'll come with a flat washer, a castle nut, and a cotter pin. We're going to put the flat washer on first. Put your castle nut with the teeth down. You want to get that castle nut lined up with the hole that's in that shaft on that ball joint. So you may have to use probably end up having to use a socket and ratchet to get that snug. So we get that in there. If we can zoom in, I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's going to be right here on the front. But you'll want to get that castle nut, get the holes lined up where your cotter pin will slide through there, and that's just going to keep that nut from being able to back out. Slide that through about halfway or so, bend it down and around, and that just ensures that all that will stay together and you don't have to worry about that nut backing out. That's tie rod and tie rod end. So the only thing left to do is put the tire back on and get it aligned, and you should be good to go. Hope you like what you see. Hope it helped. PB&J Garage, Bowling Green, Kentucky. We'll see y'all next time.